Game on, all you sports people. Welcome to episode 10 of Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. With me, it's my co-host, The Stoner. Today on episode 10, we're going to be talking about the Caps' recent form and how it's not been looking good. We're going to talk about how there's no Nationals baseball for us to support this week. And we'll also go into the Wiz and Washington football team, of course. Stoner, don't talk about the Wiz. He's out. How you doing this week?
Hey, doing fine. How about yourself? All good there in your your neck of the woods?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Went to took some time off from work. Went to a couple zoos, paying the price.
Yeah.
For that.
What do you mean paying the price? What price do you have to pay for going to a zoo? Did you get attacked by some wild animals?
I should probably not be walking a 40-acre zoo is the thing.
Gotcha.
So actually, the first day, so we went to the Maryland Zoo up there in Baltimore.
Great zoo.
And it was pretty. It's a good zoo. We're looking forward to going back because the Maryland section was off, and I like seeing the state sections. So they're renovating that. So we're going to go back to that one. That was fine. I rested up, in the afternoon and wasn't too bad. Definitely could feel a little bit. And then we went to this nature preserve that's north of Frederick. That one took a real big toll, not just from having to walk on like gravel and over rocks and stuff like this, but a lot of the zoo's not meant for a 6'3" guy. It's meant for like the kids.
Right.
So like having to like look through these like tiny portholes, there's a lot of bending and stuff. And this part of my body is still trying to get better. So
yeah,
today, a lot more movement than I was than I probably should have been doing.
Hey, I've got a little story for you that is kind of it's very inside story between you and I, but I had some crazy dreams last night, and I don't know about you, but every once in a while I have to take some melatonin to help me sleep. Sleep is a whole issue, whatever. But melatonin is natural for all you people worried about there. It's a natural supplement that we created in our bodies, so I'm only taking something that's already there. So, but what melatonin does is it gives me these crazy dreams. So last night I had a crazy dream about a guy that both you and I know. And it reminded me of something that we went through. And I'm pretty sure you were here for this when we were overseas. And do you remember at one point we got this superintendent into our work area, and this guy came in and he was hardcore physical training guy, right? That was like his life. He had one of those pull-up bars in his door frame to his office. And
the bands and everything.
Yeah, all of that. And I think like before you could go in his office, you had to do like 5 pull-ups or whatever. It was just his life was built around that. And were you
also a Washington football team?
Yes,
fan.
very much so.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this particular work.
I don't actually remember this particular work thing because your internet decided to hate you again. So I look forward to the rest of this story. But yes, I do remember the superintendent coming in. So we'll have to get the Stoner back. All right, he's got this funky face. Oh, he's back. We got him. Your internet, man. You're muted. There we go.
Blame it on my internet. All right. So, all right, where was I? Anyway, so this one particular workout, right? And this guy also believed that warm-ups were not a thing. Like when it was time to start working out, it was like, bam, we're right into it, which I don't get because I was older and I needed the stretching out. But there was one particular workout, he went right into it. And I know me personally, by the time that workout was done, I was puking all over the place. And it was one of those things. Do you remember this workout? And it was one of those things where he was like,
there was quite a few
give us
workouts we had. Oh, yes. Is this the one where we were like going around the track? We had the different things. And then afterwards, he was just like, okay, I saw some of you slacking. So we did like another half an hour to an hour of wind sprints.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the lesson was just like, hey, you're going to give it all you got.
Yeah.
And then you're going to realize that you have more to give.
Yeah,
I loved it. That was a great one. I remember that one, maybe not so fondly, but I was actually at least physically fit then. When I got there, I was a little plump. and
He
they
got
had
you in
some fun
shape?
with me. Oh man, so I get in shape pretty quickly, but I had a period there before where I wasn't, no one was tracking me, no one was doing anything, so I just kind of like sloughed off. I did more 12-ounce curls than I did of anything else. And so I got there a little round, and but I could still run. They were so surprised by that. Like we did the mile and a half. I think it was the second one to finish, and I finished it in 10 flat. And they were
You were
like,
flying.
yeah, they were like, wait, you like one. They were hard on they knew they wanted to get me that day. So like we're doing this mock fitness test, right? And like for the push-ups, they were like, I had to like chest to the ground all the way back up. And again, I'm 6'3". I got long arms. And
Yeah.
so like that's a whole process where most people are sitting there just kind of like, twitching on the ground. I'm having to like do the full thing, which is fine. Like this is the way, it should be. And then like for the crunches, tall guy normally crunches are pretty easy. I literally just like lift up my body and I'm already touching my legs. They made me do the army style where I had to like go over my knees, come all the way back down and go back. So I didn't do as well as I could have, and so
Yeah.
I got pulled into his office. I think with you, might have been with you, and there he was just like, hey, here's this memo. You got to get better. And that started a thing with my wife Jazzy, where when I did go to my fitness test later that year, she said, if you don't get a 90, don't bother coming home.
That's
And so,
incentive enough right there.
yeah, so that's been our thing ever since then. So and he loved that. The superintendent
Loved it.
he loved that. He was just
Loved
like, oh yeah, she's my kind of gal, and I have not scored less than a 90 since then. So that would have been what, back in 2011. So 10 years running, a lot better than your internet.
Well,
Running a
I
lot
don't.
better than your internet.
Is my
You
internet
dropped
okay right
out
now,
again,
though?
man.
Oh,
Um,
it's good on
so
my end.
and
No?
it's now working. You are now working.
Okay. You're just gonna have
So
to live with it until I
I'm
figure
gonna.
something out.
You're. What's worse
I'm gonna
is
figure
like
something.
not only is your internet dropping out, man. Like you'll see it when you watch the video. Your screen on my side for the recording, it's just doing this wonky thing. So we'll we'll
That's
get there.
insinuating that I actually go back and watch myself on TV again, which I would never do that.
You have to. You have to. I hope that our listeners are watching as well. We record 10 o'clock every Sunday. This Sunday, we're doing a pre recording. So there's some of this fun stuff that you get to see with the behind the scenes kind of work here a little bit. But yeah, you can catch us every Sunday at 10 o'clock, and then we push out the video later that day. We're doing a little research. We're going to try to make this a true podcast where you can get us on Apple and Spotify. So look forward to that. Hopefully, here within the next few episodes, you'll be seeing that coming out from Ref the District. I mentioned the things that we want to talk today. I think the biggest thing, we'll start off with this, is there's been no Nationals baseball for us to watch. Postponed the entire series against the Mets. So we have that coming up at a later time this year. Unfortunate that we had, there were some positives within the system. What do you feel about the processes in place? I feel bad. We had Matt on last week. He was really excited to go to opening day. Now we're not even sure when opening day is going to be at this point. Do you feel like we should still be a year in? We should still be at this point where we're canceling games.
Well, I mean, you're asking for you're asking for me to give kind of like a political opinion, which I tend to try to stay away from. But I don't know. There's so much that goes into it. There's the Nationals policies, there's MLB policies, there's District of Columbia policies, and all of this has got to be factored in. There's contact tracing. Oh, I probably just ruined our viewership using those magic words. But
No,
there's so much
that I think will be fine.
that one's all right. There's so much that goes into this that when one person gets hit as positive, then it's going to affect the entire Major League Baseball for maybe even weeks. So it's obviously it's very disappointing that they couldn't have their opening day. They were going to raise the banner from 2019. I mean, we're getting years behind actually raising a banner. They're going to have 5,000 people. It's extremely disappointing. I know Matt, I texted with him and he was not happy that happened. But I mean, what are you going to do? We should be just
What
happy that baseball is happening and
that it exists
that
in
it
this
even exists
timeline.
with fans.
Yeah, I have to, I think it's unfortunate. I hope that, obviously the NBA did something special last year with a bubble. You can't really have that, and honestly, that wouldn't be really fun for the fans because going to the games is the big experience. And you mentioned, DC has its own set of policies. One of the last teams to actually allow fans into the stadium. So, there's a lot at play. They want to make sure that they're taking the precautions that this set of games is postponed, but no other ones are postponed. I think it's unfortunate. I'm really sad. In fact, I had the worst wish list possible. And I should have known posting a list on April Fool's Day was just going to be a joke.
Yeah.
But my wish list was like, hey, no injuries, Nats victory, 10 Ks from Scherzer, 1 home run, Wiz win, hold Detroit to under 110, Caps win, Ovi scores a goal, strong third period.
Any of those happen? Did one of those happen?
Maybe no injuries, I guess. Like if
Right.
unless you count for the fact that those positive tests, whether or not that's an injury or type deal. But yeah, that was just garbage. That was the worst list I could imagine at this point.
Well, Thursday was a very depressing day for DC sports. With all that you said, you had the cancellation of opening day. The Wiz got blown out by a terrible team, and the Caps got blown out. I mean, it was just the worst for local fans.
It was no good, rotten day.
It was
no good.
And April Fool's, and you hope you wake up the next day and hope it was all a joke. And no, it's saying it actually happened.
Yeah. It was super unfortunate. I do think that we'll see Nats baseball here within hopefully the next week.
You think Monday they'll play, or are we still going to be dealing with this for weeks? What's different if you had 4 people who came up positive on the team, players on the team, at least 4? What's different between Thursday and Monday? That's only like 4 days. So obviously you're not going to have the contact tracing and all the people that have to be in isolation and quarantine and in
so DC. I think the difference is this, right? So you had the 4 on Thursday, which was like Wednesday, really. The tests were actually from back when they were in Florida. They were actually on their way when they found out, right? So I think the big difference was it just those 4? Right. And so if we see more tests, which so far, Saturday morning, haven't heard, that there's been more positives. So that's to me telling like, hey, all right, then Monday is going to be a go. Now, what that's going to look like.
Yeah. Who's actually going to be on the field?
Right? Because you mentioned a lot of the stuff. I'm sure they're all getting tested over and over again. Who's going to make it to the field? I just don't know. But I think that if it's not Monday, sometime this week, if we don't see further, positives, we'll see some Nationals baseball this week. So that's my hope.
But there's so much that goes into, especially with baseball. It's different with other sports, but especially with pitchers in baseball, who back everything up for weeks and weeks in order to be ready on a certain day. And maybe that gets pushed one day. But when it gets pushed 3, 4, 5 days, and then let's just give an example of Max Scherzer, who they have a total routine on what he does on his in-between starts, what he does on the 3rd day, on the 4th day, and then on the 5th day he pitches, and then maybe the 6th day he throws a little bit. Whatever it is, they have a very set routine. And then he can't pitch. And also, if they don't let them work out this weekend, he's not going to get whatever it is that he needs to do to be ready for Monday.
I imagine he has a house and a beanbag that he's tossing around right now to keep. But you're right. They have with the pitchers, they do have they have this routine. So it might not be Thursday when they open up. And at least I really hope they have better internet than Stoner today, man.
Okay, am I back?
You're sort of back. We'll wait to see. I'm not going to mess around with the recording software until I stop seeing your little box, you know, dilate its eyes.
Give
Yeah.
me a
So
heads up when I'm back. Give me like a
so
little. Okay, you're back normal again.
yeah. So Scherzer, we don't know whether or not Scherzer is going to be the pitcher. It's going to be interesting. Scherzer, not one of those ones who tested positive. He actually, not even in close contact because he actually flew back with his family. So, when I saw that news, I was expecting, okay, potentially the opening day is going to go on, and then to find out it was canceled was a real bummer.
Yeah.
You look forward to that as a fan, and you want to you want to see our sports that important in the grand scheme of things? No, health and safety is going to be more important. Um, but people enjoy sports. They enjoy them to whether or not it's a getaway or just to have something to enjoy. We're obviously two of those people, right? We enjoy sports.
Absolutely.
So hopefully, I'm hoping this week we have some Nationals baseball for us to watch.
Me too. I'm right there with you. Hopefully Monday they get this thing going.
Hopefully they get it going, and hopefully the Caps can return to the good form that we have seen, because this recent form has just been trash. Just absolutely getting bombarded. Lost 5-2 to the Rangers, lost 8-4 to the Islanders, and then needed overtime to take down the Devils 2-1.
Yeah.
What is going on with it?
I don't know, but and don't forget the game before that loss to the Rangers when they had a 4-0 lead and barely hung on to win 5-4.
5-4 victory,
yeah. So they haven't been good lately, but listen, with any team, any good, really good team, great team, whatever, any team that you have is always going to go through a bad spell. So maybe this is the best teams in the world go through bad spells. So maybe this is just one of those where they're just kind of going through a bad spell. I hope that's all that it is. Now, maybe they only won 2-1 in overtime against the Devils, but they still won. That gets them back on the right track.
Yeah, that's points.
And it doesn't matter if it's New Jersey or Buffalo, whoever it is, you got to beat the team that's there in front of you. And the rest of their schedule is going to be a little bit tougher. And they haven't even played Pittsburgh, but 3 or 4 times. And Pittsburgh's on an absolute heater right now. So you got Pittsburgh, the Islanders, and the Caps all right there in the division lead. So that's gonna come down to it. And I just have to think that this is just a lull. It happens to every team. Good teams, great teams, championship teams. You're always going to have a bad stretch. That's just how it works.
Yeah. They're still atop the East by 2 points over the Islanders. They play the Devils on Sunday at 3:00. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be the telling game. Can you turn it around? Can you beat the Devils now back and look good in the way you have? You saw on my wish list, I said just a good third period. And a large part was because that 5-4 victory where they just had a huge lead. And then even in these two big losses, they just, the third quarter, they're falling apart.
Yeah.
They have strong, or not quarter, sorry, the third period. The second period, they look good. They look like a team that's ready to, hoist another cup. And in that third period, things just look bad.
Yeah. What's going to be very interesting, I don't think there's anyone questions whether or not they're going to make the top 4 and make the playoffs. I mean, they would just have to have a complete collapse not to. But what's going to be interesting is when you get to those playoffs, and you start playing these teams that are obviously the best teams over and over. And then let's just say you win the East. You come out on top of the East. And you get to whatever they're going to call it, the Final Four of all the four different divisions, the champion of each one, and then you have this little bracket. It's going to be awesome to see them all of a sudden play Vegas in a 7-game series, and they haven't seen them the entire year. And they have no common opponents, and they have nothing really to look at to see if they match up well. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. First, you got to win your division in the playoffs.
One game at a time, Stoner. One game at a time, especially after this week.
Yeah,
I want them to beat the Devils 4-1.
Okay, that's not asking a whole lot, but
No, I think if they can just do that, I'm back
you'd
in.
be back
I'm
in.
thinking, yeah, I'm not even out. I'm not really out, not that the way you're out with the Wiz. I'm just, I look at this team and I'm just wondering, really, you like you said, teams ebb and flow. I get that, but then when you hit these periods where you're waiting, you're ebbing. When does that streak end?
Right, right,
Right. Washington football team's been ebbing for 30 years.
right.
The Wiz are in a slump, right? So it's just like you don't want this to continue, and
Sure.
one victory doesn't necessarily mean that they're back out of it.
Yeah.
And that's why I want them to put a couple games together. Starts with the Devils.
Well, they've played
Win 4-1 there.
They played New Jersey 7 times. What's their record against them?
7-0.
7-0. So if they lose to them,
lost to the Devils.
now they've all been close. I believe of the 7 games,
I don't think
6
they've
of them
all been
had
close.
one goal.
Yeah. No.
Against New Jersey, I think they've all been, except for one.
So they had the 1-4-0 victory against them. I'm looking over it now.
I think every other
you're
game.
Right. Every other game's been by 1.
Yeah.
All right. I need a 4-1 victory.
All right.
I need a 4-1 victory against them.
Should I put some money
They're not
on
a good team. The Devils are not a good team. No, I will not. I would not bet $1 on the. We're not bringing dollar back for this one. I don't have enough faith that they're gonna snap out of it. But New Jersey isn't a good team.
Right. You're right.
So you can't sit there. Great that you have the 7 victories against them. They need to make it 8, and they need to make it a convincing 8. I'm not trying to say that they're a bad team. They're a good team. I just don't want this slump to continue.
Sure. At some point, you got to break out of it and start.
Yeah. Good teams don't slump for that long unless you are the Nationals, who had a slump at the beginning of the season and then just turned it on after that and then won the World Series. But those teams are few and far between. You need to put together some good games. And again, we mentioned not the only team in Washington that's not putting together good games. You said at the outside of the 16 games for the Wizards, right? I think it was 16 games that they needed to win 14 of them.
Right.
They're not going to win 14 of them.
No. I said they needed to win 10 of them.
10 of them.
They need to go 10-6.
They're in serious, dangerous territory here at not being able to win that, and they're not even like 5 games into this at this point.
Right. They're 1-2 in those games so far, so they got to go 9-4 in the next 13. Yeah. Can they do it? I don't know. I think Beal's going to be back, but I don't know.
I think that's a big part right there. I think that they really are missing Beal. Westbrook has been doing, everything he can. Rui has been playing better.
Mm-hmm.
But then the third option outside of that, when Beal's down, and especially with Bertan's out as well, there's nobody there. Robin Lopez isn't going to be consistent enough. Denny's definitely not consistent enough. He was 0 for 9 until he made this errant, in my opinion. It might have been, it was actually a good shot, but it just like some random errant shot that he's going to toss up. He makes it. Great. The Wiz are not a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They have not a great coach, right? Scotty's got to go.
Yes, correct.
And they're they have a player who is pushing the basketball as best he can. Now, not saying that turnovers haven't been an issue for Russell Westbrook, because they can be an issue. Mm-hmm. He certainly hasn't been doing his job at the free throw line. Mm-hmm. But he is doing everything he can to keep this team afloat, and they're not getting any assistance, not from the coaches, not from the other players. So, I don't know. I hate to, I stand the guy, right? That's I'm a big Brody fan. I think the Russ is just is an outstanding basketball player. He's averaging a triple-double again this season. We'll see if he can continue that up. Wouldn't be the first time he did it. And yes, we lost you on your internet again, Stoner. You represent 90% of the Wiz's bench right now. Is what that's. I'm pulling a Russ, trying to carry the whole load here, and you continue.
And I'm doing nothing.
You continue to just put brick up after brick. But no, I'm talking about Russ, and there's been a lot of hate on him, especially because the team's losing. And, he's still getting, again, I mentioned he's averaging triple-double. He had a historic night, just an absolute beast of night, and they won that game. And then you have Stephen A. Smith come out and talked about three-point percentage. Like, you got to shoot the ball better from three, and I just think that's just ludicrous. And I'm going to give you some numbers here. I'm going to give you players. All right. First player. Who do you want on your team? All right. First player numbers. Averages 22 points per game, 5.4 assists, 4.7 rebounds, and shoots 29.3% from three-point. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Player B is 23.2 points per game, 8.4 assists, 7.2 rebounds, and shoots 30.5% from three. Or are you going to take player C, who is 26.7 points per game, 6.2 assists, 3.7 rebounds, and shoots 31.3%.
Of those three, who would I want?
Who would you want? Who are you going to take for your team?
Well, all three of them are terrible three-point shooters.
You don't want them shooting the ball from the arch.
Correct. But I'll take all three of them. I'll take any of them.
If you knew the names, you're going to want them.
Yeah, all three of them, if those are career numbers, all three of them sound pretty much like Hall of Famers. There's not that many people who can average those numbers over the course of a career.
Player A with the least amount of points per game, the least amount of assists per game, the least not the least amount of rebounds.
Give me a hint before you tell me. Give me some hints.
Hall of Fame player.
All right. Did he ever win a championship?
Only one of these three that has a championship.
Okay. Give me some more clues about the first guy.
Also the only non-point guard on this list.
Oh, he's a shooting guard?
He's a shooting guard.
And this one has a championship?
Yes, he has multiple championships.
That seems to me to be like a...
Did not win them on his own, though.
I would want to say like a Kawhi Leonard, but I think Leonard averages a lot more points than that.
He's also retired. He's retired.
Yeah, that's right. You said Hall.
Out of these players, only one is active.
Okay, how about
not a flash in the pan?
How about a Paul Pierce?
Not a Paul Pierce.
All right, who's the first guy?
Dwayne Wade.
D Wade. Yeah, sure.
Dwayne Wade. So I picked Dwayne. I picked Wade on this one because he attacks the basket in the same way that I when I watch Russ attack the basket, I'm reminded of Wade in the way that he will start from the top of the arch and just go for it, right? The great basketball player, obviously Hall of Fame player, has those championships. He might not actually be in the Hall of Fame yet, but he will be, right? There's no question. Yeah, no question that he will be
first
in there. So, Dwayne Wade, again, 29.3%, worse from the three-point. I don't think I ever recall Stephen A. Smith telling Wade that he needed to shoot the ball better. And then when you look at his championships that he had, championships are hard to get by, right? You have LeBron James, who's one of the best basketball players of all time, and people like to point out that his finals record is trash. But he's making the finals, but it's just hard. It's hard to win those championship games. Okay, you're playing against the top teams, and you can be Russell Westbrook and do everything you can and still lose, right?
Well, who's the third guy on that list? The second guy. So you think or either one of the three is definitely Westbrook. I know that.
Okay.
Well, who's the third?
So the third. So it's a good thing you're going to the third because player B is Westbrook, by the way.
Okay.
So player C is a Hall of Fame point guard. Another player, I'd say a similar kind of mentality of just attacking and constantly moving and doing everything they can.
I feel like I have a good beat on this one. Because you said point guard, and then you also gave the high points per game numbers.
They definitely are. This was definitely a score.
And didn't shoot well from deep. So that to me sounds like Iverson. I don't know.
It is. It's Allen Iverson.
That's the perfect.
Absolutely.
The comparisons between the two of them are pretty close, other than Brody averages a lot more rebounds, but for sure they're very, very similar players.
Yep. So yeah, averages about 4 more rebounds a game. Actually, not even that. Probably about 3 rebounds a game. But yeah,
and no championships.
No championships. Right. In fact, AI has the same like the same kind of situation that Russ does, and that has one finals appearance, and that appearance ended in a loss.
Yeah, and a 4-1. I think they lost 4-1 in that series.
Yes, they won the first game against the Lakers, and then got swept. Just got swept out the rest of it. I want to remind people, for Westbrook's first and only appearance in the finals, who the coach was.
Right.
And then perhaps those Wizards fans who like to dog on him might commiserate the fact that, yes, he doesn't have a championship ring, but he was being coached by Scott Brooks.
That's probably it.
Yes, you have KD and you have, Serge Ibaka, and you have a team that you think that could do it. In fact, they looked pretty damn good, and they didn't get there. Again, championships are hard to win, and then when your coach is below average, literally just had 3 all-stars on the team help him get to that point.
Right.
So I just don't understand the hate on
it. And I think that particular year also, that I don't know if it was that year, but it was one of the years with that group of players and coach, they were up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals against Golden State and blew that.
Was that year? Yeah, that was later. That was later. That was not that year.
They didn't make it that year.
Yeah, they were up 3-1, lose to one of the best regular season basketball teams of all time in the Warriors, and then the Warriors proceeded to do the same thing in the finals.
Right. They were up 3-1 and
they were up 3-1 and then proceeded to lose that series. Yeah, that was the year before KD jumped ship.
Yeah, which was also a couple years after KD made fun of players who were building these super teams, and then he just went and did the same thing.
Yeah.
But
not a whole lot of love lost and from the Thunder fandom
for KD
on KD. Yeah. Still a lot of love for Westbrook because he was the one who stuck it out. But I think there should be more love for Russ, from the Wizards fandom.
Well,
the guy is leaving it out there.
Let me just say this about Russell and the controversy from this past week. First of all, Russell Westbrook on the Wizards is exactly who he has always been and what they expected, which is an amazing player who gives it his all. He has a turnover problem. He's always had a turnover problem. But when they traded for him, they got exactly what they asked for, other than the first maybe month when he was injured, and now they're getting what they asked for. But there are people out there after this historic game, and these people are what I call, in my head, I've never put this out there before, but I call them Yabbits. And I'm going to explain to you what a Yabbit is. All right? Because you know what a Yabbit is? I don't think it's not a common
I don't know what a Yabbit is.
So a Yabbit. Stephen A is the king of the Yabbits. Okay, if they had a town or a city or whatever, and he would be the mayor of Yabutville.
Mayor.
So Russell just had one of the, like you said, one of the greatest historic statistical games in the history of the NBA. There have been probably, I don't know how many games have been played, millions of games in the NBA. He didn't have like the top 5, one of the 5 best, or even maybe not even one of the 50 best, but he probably had like one of the 100 greatest games in the history of the NBA.
Probably even top 50.
Yeah, maybe even top 50.
That ridiculous stat line, the way that, from 3, the low turnovers, right, the defense that was being played, just across the board.
He did everything.
Probably, yeah.
He did everything, and I don't know where.
And led the team to a victory.
And they won.
And led the team to a victory.
Without Bradley Beal. He did everything that you would want him to do. And the entire world, the NBA world, on the internet or whatever, they're all talking about this incredible game that he played. And everybody is praising him. Until you get to Stephen A. And again, he's the king of the Yabbits. He puts in perspective what Russell did in this one game. And then proceeds to say, yeah, but he doesn't do it from 3-point range. He hasn't won a championship. So that's where the yeah but comes in. The crowd that says, yeah, but, okay, those are facts. He's not a great 3-point shooter. He hasn't won a championship. But why do we have to bring up that narrative in the context of this one game where he was absolutely incredible? We're all yabbits. We all look at something and we say, yeah, but he can't. Ryan Fitzpatrick signing, I didn't like it. So you might say he was the best quarterback option available, and I would say, yeah, but he has done nothing in his career. But I do that in the context of what is actually going on at that particular moment. Stephen A will, and others like him, but in this particular case it's just him, he'll go off for no other reason just to be a contrarian. When there are 10 million people who are praising this game from Westbrook, somebody has to be the one who says, yeah, but he's not a great 3-point shooter and he should be better at it. And so now
he gets paid to do that. Right?
Yeah, he gets paid to do that.
Millions of dollars to do
when this. He's writing his monthly mortgage check for $500,000 that he has to pay every month on his $20 million home, at the bottom it says Stephen A, mayor of Yabutville, because that's where he gets his money. But I just can't stand that. I can't stand that people will do it just to do it. If you ask Stephen A, is Russell Westbrook a great player? Is he a Hall of Famer? He'll say yes. So why can't we just leave it at that for this one game and leave the whole, let's look at his entire career and what he's done and shame him for that? That's for another time. Do that at the end of the season. Let's enjoy this one amazing game that Russell had.
And you're absolutely right. He's the mayor of Yabutville, because I would almost be willing to bet $1 on this. If you were to ask him this week if Russell Westbrook is a Hall of Fame player, he might actually say no, because he's actually come out and he stood firm on his criticism of Russ, and he sits there and he opened up that segment saying he loves him, he's a great player and all this other stuff, but he is somebody who will dig his heels in when people come after him the way that we're saying that this is just a garbage. Yes, we understand you get paid to do this, to be the contrarian, to be the mayor of Yabutville. I think he'd almost just be to spite us. If it came from us, right, be like, no, he's not a Hall of Fame player. He's never won a championship. He hasn't done this.
Right,
but you're talking to.
If you were sitting down at a bar and had a beer with him and you were talking to him, he would say the complete opposite. But when you put him in front of the camera and then you say, if you say something that's going to be controversial and we're going to get all these clicks and these ratings, then we'll give you a lot of money. Then he's going to say something contrary to what everybody else is saying. Yeah. And I can't stand those kind of people. Stick with what you believe, but he gets paid millions of dollars for that. He gets paid like $7 million a year to do what he does. God bless him. You get yours when you can and while you have the chance to do it, but I just don't like people who do it just to do it. There's no way Stephen A sitting at a bar would say Russell Westbrook is not a Hall of Famer, or he's not one of the 20 best players of his generation, because he is.
That wasn't that good of a game type deal. Yeah, no, he absolutely
get him out of here. I never want to see him again. I don't know why you responded to him, because all you did was get me fired up.
I was just see, the problem was it wasn't just Stephen A. Smith. There's been a lot. There's this feud on the Wizards Twitter between the Brody stans and the people who just want to rail against him. There's got to be a middle ground. I'm fully admit I'm a stan. Okay, I'm not the middle ground. I'm going to defend him and the way that he plays. I enjoy watching him play. I think that he's a great player, and I think that the Wiz will win more games with him than they would without him.
Right.
And this isn't even going into, and I know a lot of the Wiz fandom, a lot of that issue stems from the fact that they had ties to John Wall, right?
Sure.
I know a lot of it comes from just that. I'm sorry, to John Wall, but you put him on this Wizards team, and they're probably in the same predicament, might even be a little bit worse. It's hard to say. They are two very different basketball players. So
John Wall has never had a 35-point, 21 assist, 14 rebound, lead the team to victory game in his entire career.
You know who else?
So I don't want to hear that.
You know who
anybody?
else hasn't? Anybody.
Anybody in the history of the game.
Anybody in the history of the
Right.
NBA has not had that kind of game.
So let's just celebrate that game and what he did that game. And then maybe at the end of the year, we can start talking about his three-point percentage and his lack of championship.
You know, there's going to be some fair criticism if the Wizards miss the playoffs.
Which they will.
Which it's definitely looking like they will. And he averages a triple-double. And this unfortunately just gives it to the people who say that he's, stat padding. He doesn't, if you watch him play, you can tell that it's not stat padding. He just drives to the basket all the time. He literally he's looking for those rebounds. He does. A lot of people are like, oh, the bigs just give it to him. No, the game the other day, right? He literally flashed to the thing and surprised everybody because there was this blur of red, and it was him because he's just that type of player.
Right. And if they had better shooters on this team, he'd have 20 assists every night.
Yeah, because he wouldn't have as many rebounds because he wouldn't have to grab the ball.
Right. But, man, they are woeful from three-point range. And enough of this Denny Avdia shooting from three. When has he ever proven to be able to shoot from three? If you look at him when he was in Israel, and it's a very small sample size when he played, he was not a three-point shooter. He was a point forward. Why are we using him as a spot-up shooter? He's not a spot-up shooter. Stop it, Scotty. Stop it.
It'll be interesting to see how things, they get back Ish Smith. I think the pickups from Chicago are panning out. You hope that the ankle heals quickly.
For Gafford.
We'll see. I think that, they just got to start turning around. Right now, Rui is playing excellent. You hope with Beal coming back that Rui continues to play the way that he has, because then you have three players, and that's what you really need on an NBA team. You need three players that are clicking.
Right.
And then a bench that won't give it away. And right now, they're missing both that third player and a bench that's not going to give it away. So we'll see what happens with Wiz.
I think in their last game, Ish was out, Bertans was out, Beal was out.
Oh, there was no.
Bryant was out. I don't think Neto was out that game, but he was the next game. Gafford was out. I mean, half of their production, 3/4 of their production was out.
But we've talked about it. You can't, teams do this, right? Teams have injuries. You can't sit there and make that an excuse.
You're right.
So
You're right.
We'll see how that goes. I do want to stick on basketball, and I'm going to go to the state of Maryland University. We went from the greatness of
University of Maryland. You might get in trouble for Maryland University.
Okay, that's fair. University of Maryland. You're right. My apologies to all the Terp fans out there.
Yeah.
But they signed Turgeon to a long-term deal.
They did sign him, or the rumor is they're signing him.
It's
probably
gonna
it sounds like
it's going to happen. We're moving in that direction.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you think that's right for Maryland to do? Do you think that this is what they want? Because it's looking like people weren't necessarily happy with where Maryland basketball has been these last few years. Mm-hmm. And while they won their first their first game in March Madness, they didn't make a deep run.
Right.
And this is a program that people feel has some prestige to it. That should be one of these teams that's making continual deep runs into madness. But when you look at the facts, they haven't really done that since 2001, 2002.
Right. And I think his biggest issue is recruiting. He cannot recruit locally. And if you ask anybody in the country, where does the majority of basketball talent come from? It's this area, the DMV area. DC, Maryland, Virginia Baltimore just has a wealth of talent, and they go to UConn, and they go to Villanova, and they go to Texas, and they don't stay here. One of the best high school basketball programs in the country is DeMatha High School, which is like a 5-minute drive from the University of Maryland. They have not had a DeMatha player go to the University of Maryland for sure in Turge's time, but it's been like 20 years since they've had anybody. Why are
Should be
all
a
these
feeder
why is,
school. Should
it should be a
immediately just go
feeder?
there.
What is going on? Why is this happening?
Do you
So
think the
he's not getting
proximity
big
might be
recruits.
part of the problem, though, for that? Do you
The
think because
problem instead of
the players need to get away from home?
okay, that's fair that could possibly be it. But why was it happening back in the 90s? Why were guys going from Maryland to I mean from DeMatha or local guys going close by?
You see more so now where you find scouts are able to go further, right? And they're able
Sure.
to there's a further reach, right? Because the world's a much smaller place given the technology. When we're talking about the 90s, even the early 2000s, you know, the game tape was still probably on VHS.
Right, right.
So you're talking about, to have to get these people and recruit these people, you had to do a whole lot. Whereas now it's just, everybody with a phone can record some video, send it to somebody, and the schools can recruit. They know where the talent's been coming from, and now you have more schools who are able to reach in and grab from that talent. So I just think that's part of the issue. I think it's interesting. I think that what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to put money down, saying that Turgeon's gonna turn this around, right? If this is my guess, because you're not really paying him for what he's done, because he hasn't really done much. The team had a stellar year, or not a stellar year, but they had a good year this year. Maybe not so great, amongst all the Big Ten teams. Big Ten looked like just a powerhouse, and you want them to beat the Michigans, out of this, right? So I think what they're trying to say is like, okay, we see that you're able to produce a good team. We feel like that backing you is what's going to be able to turn that around, because now you have these young players who know that they're going to have this coach here for years, right?
That'll help in recruiting.
Unless they're a one and done, they're going to get some quality players out of it. That's my guess. I'm not so sold on the idea. I don't think that he's a bad coach by any means, but
right, he's a good coach.
Yeah,
but good is not good enough when you have a team that has won a national championship before, and you've got to constantly strive for that. There are some schools where you just kind of know that this is not a school where you're going to get the support to make a run at a national championship. In Maryland, you are expected to make a run.
They're going to give you that support.
And they're going to give you that support. So, but the narrative may have changed last year if they had been able to play, because he had his best team last year. They tied for the Big Ten regular season championship. They were led by a senior point guard. They had one of the best players in the country in Jalen Smith. So last year could have really changed the entire narrative, and they could have made a deep run, but now we'll never know. But his record is, as it is, I think he has 2 Sweet 16 appearances and nothing further. You just got to do better than that. And by giving him extension, I don't know. I guess this is his last chance. If I was in charge, no, we got to find somebody else. But of course, the old saying is, if you let a coach go or you fire him, you better have somebody in mind to replace him, and not just, okay, now we got to go find somebody. There better be something.
Like North Carolina right now, but I'm sure they have no shortage of suitors now that Roy has retired. So it'll be interesting to follow. We'll see where Maryland basketball goes in the next season. Didn't get it this time. Still some March Madness happening. UConn. You mentioned UConn. The UConn ladies team lost last night. That was a surprising twist.
Very surprising.
But we're not here to talk about UConn sports. We're a district sports cast. I want to talk about the team that's not actually in the district, but we still ref them as well. It's the Washington football team. I would love to see them back in the district.
Oh, absolutely.
So we'll see if they ever get there. Part of what's going to get them there is the fact that they're under this name change. I see that you're repping some old gear. I'm wearing a Cooley jersey that has the old name as well. April 5th is the deadline for fan submissions. If you didn't know this is your chance to get out there and tell them what you think the name should be. There is a not small contingent of people who think that Washington football team is acceptable. If you are not one of those people, please go to the Washington football team site. They have a whole site for this, by the way. You can go out there. If you follow them on Twitter, go to their Twitter, find this out, and they've been pushing this out. April 5th is the deadline. If you think that Washington football team is an acceptable name, do not go to that website. Do not tweet. do not do anything. It is not an acceptable name. You got to have a name.
All right. So they're not going to make a decision that day. That's just the deadline to make your voice heard. It's just your deadline to make your voice heard. They're trying to bring in the fans. I guess the feeling from what I've seen, this is anecdotal, but I mean, to be fair, all of this is anecdotal, right? Because they're just fan submissions. It seems like people are fine with Washington football team because it feels like the the transition from the previous name to this name. So it's just they want some continuity, and just picking some random bird, as Jason Wright had said, isn't going to cut it. Right.
I'm good with that. I don't want some random thing. I want something that's tied to this area or in their history. If they come out with the Hogs, I'm okay with that, given that has a tie to the history. They've already said they're keeping the burgundy and gold. Great.
That's great. Yep.
That's awesome. If they call us the burgundy and gold, fine. But I just can't get behind just calling us calling the team the Washington football team for eternity. Now there's somebody who made a decent point that you got they're not Washington. Sorry, you got the New York Football Giants. Okay. All right, I can understand that we can be the Washington football whatever. But if you notice, that's not actually the Giants' name. It's just what you call them.
Yeah. It's just kind of maybe some announcer said it one time.
Yes, and it's stuck.
Caught on.
Just like America's team, and all of a sudden we have to deal with these Dallas fans year in and year out thinking that they're the best team. And they haven't done anything in about the same amount of time as Washington.
Right. So what about this as kind of a compromise between Washington football team and a real name? What about if you went with, like they do in European soccer, and I'm not a European soccer head, so I'm not sure really how all this works. But let's take, for example, the one club I kind of follow, which is Arsenal. And they are like the Arsenal Football Club. I don't know exactly how it goes. But they're Arsenal.
If we just change over, instead of saying team, we change it to club. How's that? No! No, Stoner.
Okay, but wait.
You're literally just changing. Those are synonyms. What are you doing?
Wait, I'm not finished. You didn't let me finish. So if they're Arsenal, they don't have a nickname. They're not like the Arsenal Red Devils or whatever.
Sure.
Okay. But
as most teams, you're right. European football team.
Right.
I'm a Swansea City fan. They're playing like rubbish lately.
But
even though they call them the Swans and whatnot, it's Swansea City.
Yeah, but they do have a nickname. So they're not the Arsenal Gunners, but they are known as the Gunners, right? They're Arsenal Football Club or whatever their real title is, and they're the Gunners. And I don't know how that works with all the teams. Like I said, I'm not that up to date.
It's pretty similar through it all, right? You have the team name. Which is just the generic, usually location, football club type deal, and then they have some kind of thing to tie to. Sure.
Right.
Okay.
So why can't you do a Washington football team? That's their name, but we call them the Hogs, for example. But that's not they're not the Washington football team Hogs. They're the Washington football team, and we all call them the Hogs. Something to that effect. So that is like a compromise. So you don't have the Washington football team Red Devils.
Why could your internet not go out now? Like, of all the times that I have to listen to you, this is the time that your internet decides to work.
Right,
is now the Washington football team, but we'll just call them whatever. You can call them whatever they want. There's people who still sticking to this name.
but
No,
it's
no,
still
you give
kind
them
of
a name.
official.
That's nice that
Kind
that works in Europe. Unless we're the ones who are going to start doing that transition, and if we do, then please, by all means, switch it over to from team to club. So the Washington Football Club, and then
yeah,
we call them the Hogs.
yeah.
No, terrible idea.
Okay. All right.
Terrible
Didn't
idea.
realize that would touch a nerve on you. All right.
God, give them
So
a name.
Nate. All right. So Nathan Perry, you're in charge of the name change, and you have to decide right now, Nathan. You've got 1 minute. What is their name?
Their name 1 minute. I don't really have a fan favorite at
No.
this point.
I want to know what
I'm gonna
you
give
would
you an
do.
answer, and it's not gonna be a minute because Lord knows I take longer than to get to a point than a minute. That's why we're like an hour into the show right now, and I don't think most of us have made points at this point. The I liked the Hogs only because again it has a tie back to it. You know, I'm not a big fan. Like a lot of people do, like the Red Wolves and all this other thing. You don't have to put just because the R. Like you don't have to stick with that. Like think outside the box. Like what for one, Red Wolves. I know Smoot kind of likes it, and there's people that push for it. And they got some really cool things. I like the idea of howling. Just drop the red part because there's no Red Wolves in this in the district, right? That's like a Southwest thing. But we had wolves in this area. If they did wolves, I'd be okay with that. Again, I like the idea of howling. I think that the Hogs has some background. That's probably the one I'm putting between. We're Air Force. Our veterans. They went with red tails. I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I don't really think that it has a great tie to the district.
Right.
I've heard some really lousy names, man.
Sure.
Like the Potomacs and the Generals and all this other
Stop
stuff. Like,
with all that.
no,
Yeah.
just get out of here. I'm glad that Jason Wright's leading this, and he doesn't just want some random bird. They want to tie it to it. I'm glad that Washington's doing, this fan, thing, and they're doing it in a way that's not your typical internet thing. So we don't end up with Bodie McBoatface as the name, right? So,
Right.
And they're or like the Raptors, right? The Raptors in the NBA they were named the Raptors because Jurassic Park was a big thing, and so when they started up that franchise, people are like, "Oh, we like dinosaurs. We're going to go with the Raptors." Raptors have nothing to do with basketball
or Toronto or anything.
So I like the way that they're doing this. I feel like there's going to be turmoil no matter what they do. Obviously, I'm staunchly against your trashy idea and anybody who wants to go with the Washington football team as a name. But if that's honestly, and this is where I think the fandom does need to go, is whatever the team decides, whatever the name is, support them. And, there was a lot of people who started throwing away their stuff and just because they got rid of the old name. It was time, folks. It needed to happen.
That's right.
And I'm looking forward to them just selecting a name. And so we're not in this temporary status. I'm going to go out and I'm going to spend some money on some Washington football team gear. And I know maybe that's a reason for people to keep it, right? Because they're like, well, I just spent $100 on a Chase Young jersey that says, just Washington. But hey, folks, they're always just going to say Washington, right? Like they're all like, as long as they don't change to, DC, whatever, as long as they're still Washington, name, then it's okay that it says Washington.
Did you just completely not even give us your
You're
name?
right. I didn't give you an answer.
All of that, and we never got an
all
answer.
of that. No answer.
So you don't have an answer.
I don't have an answer. If I had to put a submission in, I'm probably going to go with the Hawks. I have until April 5th again to put in this submission. I'm going to look. I want something. A lot of people want to stay away from the native, side of the house. That's fine. That's understandable. That was my biggest thing with the name change when it came to there was I didn't want to see a loss of support for our Native Americans, which you have seen. Dan Snyder, to counter all the negative press over the name, used to pour money into programs and stuff, and now there's not necessarily that money flowing, and I would like to see that support because I do think that they're under supported. And but I can understand staying away from any kind of native imagery for that. But that was definitely my biggest worry moving away from the name. I'm all for moving away and finding a new future. What that is will be interesting.
To be determined,
TBD. It'll be interesting. To be determined also is their wide receiver lineup.
Mm-hmm.
They signed yet another youngish wide receiver, DeAndre Carter, this week. That brings our tally up to, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 names to choose from. How many wide receivers do you think they're going to keep?
6, maximum 7.
Okay, we'll say they keep
6-7 line.
Yeah, we'll say they keep 6. All right, McLaurin and Samuel, locks. Right? Okay, so we're good there. Who are they cutting out of Humphreys, Harmon, Sims Jr., Wright, AGG, and DeAndre Carter? Who's going?
Do not put Humphreys in that. He's good. He's a lock.
You're gonna keep. I don't think he's a lock.
Oh, he's such a lock.
I don't think that
if he's healthy, he's a lock.
You got to figure they're going to draft probably a wide receiver as well, right?
Maybe, but these moves.
They don't have to, but this is a good year to draft a wide receiver.
Did you have Harmon in there?
Harmon's in there.
I heard Harmon. Okay.
Yep, Harmon's in there. Humphreys, Harmon, Sims Jr., Wright.
Gone.
You're cutting Sims Jr. Sims Jr.'s got to be out. And Wright are gone. Yeah, I agree with Wright, and I agree with Sims Jr. Sims Jr. was gone the moment Rivera was just like, well, I would put somebody back there if we had somebody.
If I could, right.
DeAndre Carter just got signed. The guy literally they listed as wide receiver / kick returner. You're gone. Right. You're done. Like, bye, Sims Jr. You had a promising rookie year and just haven't done anything. I'm tired of seeing you drop balls. I'm sorry. I don't typically like to rail on players. They're elite talent, and I appreciate what they bring to the table. Just really got tired of I really got tired of having a heart attack every time the team punted to us.
Well, if you didn't kick Sims Jr. to the curb when they signed Humphreys, then you're 100% kicking him to the curb when you signed Carter, because he's a kick returner and punt returner as well, and that's the only redeeming quality Sims had left, was to be able to, that he may not have been good at it, but at least he had experience at it. He's gone. Don't even talk about him anymore. God bless him.
Do you think DeAndre Carter makes the team then?
Yeah,
is he another?
I think.
Okay, you think that they signed him for a purpose? Okay, so you have to get rid of now Harmon, Sims, or AGG. What happens here? Possibly even more because of a rookie.
Sure, and that's why I don't think they're going to draft a rookie. I think they're happy with what they have right now, unless somebody falls.
This is very young talent. These are a lot. Most of these players are in that 25, 26 year range. So you got some youth here, and inexperience.
Yeah. Well, and Harmon, he had a solid rookie year, and of course he blew out his knee.
Great. Yeah.
So who knows what his health is? So let's just assume they're all healthy. And Harmon comes back at 100%. I'm keeping Harmon. I'm keeping Sims Jr. I don't know what that means.
We just cut him.
I mean, Sims.
You can't go back to Sims Jr. We just cut him.
You're keeping Sims. And then AGG, I mean, what has he done other than get drafted high? Fairly high. Was he a third rounder or a fourth
round pick? Because a fourth round pick.
Okay, let the guy move on from him, right? Let the guy go ride his unicycle and do solve a Rubik's Cube at the same time in somebody else's camp.
A lot of talk. A lot of people think maybe Harmon or G can move to tight end. Do you think that's a possibility?
No, I think that's crazy talk. That's just not a natural flow for anybody to change positions. Is a huge story. Is a success story. Like when who's our tight end from Virginia Tech who had a great year?
Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas. That's an amazing story. Guys just don't do that. Okay, he had a really good year, but guys just don't do that.
Get out of here.
Okay, you don't just all of a sudden.
Ball great year. What are you talking about?
Well, I'm okay. So he had a really.
Your co-host put out there that he's decidedly mediocre.
Yeah,
he's sitting here talking about a great year.
Well, I disagree. I think he's a little bit better than mediocre, but that's neither here nor there. But. But they just don't make these moves very naturally. We all think that, Landon Collins should just become a linebacker. Well, it just doesn't work that way.
No.
Harmon should just become a tight end. Well, it's not that easy. If that it works, then that would be great. But I mean, a guy who's been outside the numbers for his entire career life playing football has got to learn how to block and blocking schemes and all
Well,
this
to be
stuff.
fair, most tight ends, to include Thomas, don't block very well. And
Yeah, true.
Harmon is a good blocker as a receiver.
Yeah,
It'd
it's
be
different.
interesting to see him. Yeah, it's very different.
Don't forget, you are forgetting Thaddeus Moss, Randy's kid. He's still technically on the roster. The tight end they drafted last year that they put on the injured list. Everybody was like, "Ooh, Randy Moss's kid," that they signed as a free agent. Wasn't even drafted.
Undrafted free agent. That was largely due to an injury he had. Obviously, that injury still happened because Washington cut him. He then went to waivers. Nobody picked him up, so then he ended up
Right.
on injured reserve.
Yeah, don't forget about him.
Yeah, don't forget about that guy. That guy. Yeah, okay. I won't forget about him. We'll see. I hope that he is healthy. My big thing when it comes to Thaddeus Moss, as far as, and Moss, to be clear, unlike his dad, not a wide receiver. He plays tight end. Actually, a willing blocker, and has great hands. Like his dad, has great hands. But he doesn't move like his dad. He doesn't move like a wide receiver. The dude is slow.
Yeah, he's glacial.
By NFL standards.
By NFL standards.
Actually, to be fair, by college standards, he was still pretty slow. He's just a big target who can catch the ball.
You think you could outrun him in a 40?
I can't outrun my son at this point, but if I were healthy and fit, no, he still beats me.
Okay,
no,
right.
Are you kidding?
I'm
36 years old. No, I'm not going to beat this kid who came out and played college ball. I'm not one of these goobers who sits there and thinks that they can take on pro athletes. These pro athletes are like the top 1% of their entire sport. I'm just some Joe Schmo with a Cooley jersey on talking sports. I'm not gonna beat these guys. You saw this. Did you see the clip of Scarabini? Some high school kids.
Scalabrini.
Scalabrini. Some high school kids. Yeah. Challenged him or calling him trash, so they played for their shoes. He just demolished them.
Smoked them.
This guy averaged like single-digit points his entire career, but he played like 10 years in the NBA. That says something.
Right,
as much as we give Denny crap for not being able to be a spot-up shooter, if we played him one-on-one, we're losing. We're losing.
Right.
I guarantee he makes every shot from three.
Right
in our faces. He would posterize us the way that Westbrook had a great posterization at the end of a losing effort against Charlotte. But, I can't be. These guys are faster
I was just checking your ego level there for a minute. I just want to see where you were at.
The 40's not my game anyways. I'm more of an endurance guy.
Yeah.
Soccer is more my sport because I will just run constantly. And even there, these guys would be running around me, man. We can't even. No, what are you talking about?
Do you agree with my list, by the way?
I'm definitely getting rid of Sims Jr. and Wright. I think that Isaiah Wright had a pretty decent year, for the Washington football team. He actually made some plays that I thought were just special plays, preventing interceptions. He's just very raw. I just don't see him beating out.
Nope, no chance.
Some of these other talents. I think Harmon is the big one. I think Sims, you can easily get away from Cam Sims, but he showed, that he can play. I like him as a wide receiver 4. Harmon is a big question. If he's injured, you just throw him back on injured reserve, or you put him on the pup.
But assuming he's healthy, wait 6 weeks. Assuming he's healthy.
If he's healthy, I think that he has the potential to be there more so than AGG, at least that they showed. But even AGG wasn't healthy most of the year, so it'll be interesting. I think the one thing that Gandy Golden has over Harmon was that's only this is Harmon's second system.
Yeah.
Right, because he's not played for Rivera, which is also a knock for him because Rivera's been pretty keen on getting rid of these guys who he didn't draft. Right. So it's quite possible that leaves Harmon on the outside looking in. We'll see though. Well, I think I disagree with you. I think they draft a wide receiver sometime in round 4 or 5. and that pick even potentially takes out DeAndre Carter. It's not like they're out a lot of money with these players. So
that's fair with
it'll
DeAndre
be very
Carter.
interesting.
If they do draft somebody or even bring in another free agent that can do the returning, then he's not.
By the way, I might not have Humphries as a lock.
Oh, Humphries is such a lock. Get out of here.
He's an almost certain keep, right? Like I'm not ready to write his name in pen, but I'm not afraid if I write it in pencil that I'm going to need that eraser. Like if I have one of those pencils that doesn't have an eraser, I feel okay writing Humphries' name down. But I'm not going to consider him a lock. He's just he could very well just be another injured body. I think he's had his great year. His best year was in 2015 with Fitzpatrick, and I think when we talked about him being signed, that's the big thing for him is he's got that rapport already, and that's what they're looking for. I think that's why he will likely be on the team. But the only locks to me, the reason why they're locks is because I actually consider them to be good wide receivers. Or McLaurin and Samuel. Yeah. Everybody else is a Jag.
They're all Jags.
Just another guy.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
The rest of them are Jags. So
although
we'll see what Jags they keep.
Although the depth is important on a team, we probably shouldn't worry too much about who the fifth, sixth, and seventh receivers are because, assuming everybody's healthy, they'll never see the field, and some of them won't even.
They won't be dressing on game days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't really worry too much until
you want good culture. You want good culture. Got to have some good guys. We'll see what we do for the draft. Big opportunities coming for Ref the District when it comes to the draft. So if you're a fan of this show and you have an interest in what we're talking about, please talk to us. Reach out to us. Let us know what your feelings are on the draft. You can hit us up on Twitter at Ref the District or hit us up in our email, refthedistrict@gmail.com. Of course, here on YouTube, leave comments. Let us know what you think, and we'll be certain to comment back and engage with you. But if you're a fan of the show, like and subscribe here on the channel. I know 60% of you have watched this, but you haven't clicked that bell. So go ahead and click that bell.
Please.
Let us know that you are a supporter of the channel. We appreciate what you do. We have some fun here, and we will continue to do this. I'm Nathan Perry. He's the Stoner, and this is Ref the District.